Welcome back and Happy New Year, everybody. Folks, nowadays you can find all kinds of interesting baseball content online, from pitching and catching, and of course batting. There are great coaches and creators out there bringing fun perspectives, but not everyone does it with such swagger. I'm Grayson Knight, and this is Baseball Podcasts Are Fun. Today's guest is Alex Hale from Chips Performance Training in Omaha, Nebraska, but he is better known as Swag and Shades from all his Instagram videos. Coach Hale's videos range from how to handle striking out to should you go to a showcase. They're always entertaining and informative, and above all, they're designed to make you a better baseball player. Today, we're going to get some more insight from the man himself. So let's get to it. Thank you for being here, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great as well. Happy New Year. It's not New Year yet for us. It's December 31st, but it'll be aired in the new year. So, are you excited for 2025?
I'm really excited. I think it's gonna be a good year. It was a growth year for us in 2024. What are you looking forward to in 2025?
Well, I'm a freshman in high school, so I'm looking forward to baseball tryouts. This is my first year of high school baseball, so I'm really looking forward to that.
What kind of things do you what expectations do you have going into your freshman year?
Um, I'd like to make the team, and I'd like to help out the team as much as possible. And I have a bunch of friends that play baseball too, and I'd just like to help grow the team.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Good.
All
So,
right,
what questions do you have for me?
all right. So, how often do you make videos?
That's a great question. We batch film our videos. So last night we filmed 30 videos, and so we'll do 30 anywhere from 24 to 35 videos at a time,
Hmm.
depending on the content we need to shoot. We're going to the ABCA coaching convention on Thursday. So we'll go to that in Washington, D.C. And there's a big trade show and a lot of coaches speak. And it's a great meeting of like all these different coaches from all over the country, all different levels. You get to kind of hear what's being talked about from the big league level to facilities, high level training places. And it's just a great place to meet and just you get connecting with all the coaches and find out what's being taught, what guys are saying, and then you get to see all the cool new stuff that's coming out for this year from all the companies. All the baseball companies are there with all their stuff, and that's personally my favorite part.
Hmm.
But we'll go do that. And so when we film, right now we film a lot more at a time. So when we go, we don't have to like try to film extra videos and stuff. We'll do live streams and stuff when we're there for social media, but in terms of having our base content that we put out. We get all that done usually once a week during when school's in session because we have a facility. And when school's in session, we can film a little bit more in the morning. So we'll sometimes do twice a week. This year, we're going to go into long form content on YouTube. And so that's going to be kind of our next thing, making a little bit longer videos, a little bit more informative, adding more value to, to parents and coaches and players and like yourself. And so that's what's coming up next. But to answer your question, we usually film once or twice a week and just try to organize it, have it set up so we can shoot a lot of it at one time, so that we can always focus on our training of our players and doesn't get in the way.
So, what do you do on days that you're not filming?
So days we're not filming, so I own the facility, and then I run all the training, um, communicate with our coaches. All of our players have customized training, so we have only high school, college, and professional players here, and so going through what where they are in their progressions, whether it's the throwing program, lifting, their speed, whether we have our strength and speed guys coming in or our yoga instructor. We try to kind of cover all our bases. We'll meet with all of our players, go over where they are in their nutrition plans, getting them ready for their seasons. And so everything's tailored, and that takes it takes a fair amount of time to make sure everything's coordinated and stuff. But it's fun to we see the kids 5 to 7 days a week, and
Hmm.
I say kids, they're you know anywhere from 15 to 23, and so it makes it fun for us, and that's the biggest thing is making sure that we're improving them on the field and making sure that they're ready for their season. So that's what I do day to day, and then we do the social media stuff on the side and keep everything going. So we work with a lot of baseball companies, and that's been really exciting. So
So, do you coach anything specific, or do you do like everything?
I was a two-way in college, so I do everything but infielding. Like I knew enough to teach my younger teams infield, but we have an infield instructor, Ryan Ahart, who's awesome. Daryl Parks also does infield, and Gabe Schemmel does infield. But I stick with what I know. I know pitching, hitting, lifting, and catching. So catching was the number one thing I started coaching when I got started coaching, doing lessons and training. Shoot, over 15 years ago. And then yeah, it was actually 15 years ago now, when I got done playing. And so I kind of went into a little bit of everything. I had some versatility for my playing background, and I really got into. You've seen in the videos. I really got into like the mental stuff. I like working with kids, and I wanted to figure out kind of how their how their development and processes worked. And so studied that a lot as I was coaching, so that I could connect with the players. Because to me, it doesn't matter what you know if you can't explain it to them and you can't connect with the player on it. So that's what we do a lot. We spend a lot of our time here with our guys on handling expectations, the mental part of the game, and really understanding what's going on. And so then the baseball training part kind of takes care of itself because that's a little more simple at the end of the day. Kids, when we get them, they're already in high school now, so they have um, a lot of thinking that they sometimes need to restructure in terms of like expectations, and going from 14U to freshman year, you'll find it's just different. And so it's not bad or good. It's just different, and you got to adjust. And so helping guys understand that those adjustments are part of it, and when you're going through kind of the tougher waters, it's just keep going because that's part of it. That's when you're growing, and so it's really exciting when guys go through that. They don't feel it at the time that it's exciting and fun, but when you're watching it, you're like, I've seen enough players go through the whole process now that it's like, okay, this is a good part. Like he doesn't know it, but this is a good part for him. And this is going to be what helps him grow going into the next phase of his development. And so that's how we look at it. And that's kind of how we approach everything.
Well, I can't wait to see what's next. We'll talk a little bit more about the videos in a bit, but I'd like to start with your baseball backstory. So I know you played at the University of Richmond, but can you tell us your origin story?
My origin story was I played 8-9U rec ball. We won one game each year. And so I wanted to quit baseball. And then because just nobody on my team was any good. And mostly they didn't care. That was the part that bothered me. So my dad was like, hey, what if we found like a select team? And I was like, I would love that. And so I went to a tryout with 17 players and 12 got picked. We won 7 games that year. And I thought it was the most fun I ever had. We were like 7-20 something, but we won 7 games. And my two teams the year before won one.
Mhm.
So I was like, this is awesome. The next year, my coach actually encouraged me to go try out for another team because he was like, "Hey, you have a spot here, but go see if you can make one of these other teams." And so I ended up making the top team in the state, and that was like my intro to travel baseball. Was we had a shortstop who switch hit and throw the ball from his knees from the hole, and he ended up being the number one player in Texas. And we went down that same year and played against the San Diego Stars, who had Matt Bush, who ended up being the number one overall pick in 2004. And that was my introduction to travel baseball. So it was just like, and so I was hooked from that point. Got to high school and played football, basketball, and baseball for the first 2 years, and realized that being from Nebraska, I was like, I got to play more. And so that was a big, leap of faith. I was like, I'm gonna go all in on baseball and just focus everything that I was doing on it. And it ended up working out. I got a scholarship to Richmond. Um, my junior year, I was Gatorade Player of the Year in Nebraska, and got to go to the area code games, got to do all that stuff. I was a catcher in high school, and so I was I was a catch and throw guy, and then I could hit well enough to, make it worth my time. So then I got to the University of Richmond because I was later in the recruiting process, and I didn't realize it. So I was getting all these letters and getting recruited by places, but I thought I had a ton of time, and I was kind of sitting on offers and not being, as aggressive in pursuing the schools that pursuing me. I thought I could like stack up all these offers, and it's something that we talk to players a lot about now. If it's, knowing what you want going into the recruiting process, so that when they come, you're ready to pull the trigger if it's a school you want to go to. And so for me, going to Richmond was a great fit because they valued me as a player. I was excited to be there. I played freshman year right away as a freshman. I started from game one, and then by the end of the year, I was also the closer. So I was the catcher closer my freshman year. And then sophomore year, went to do both again. We had a bunch of pitching injuries, and I needed to become a starter. And so I was going to go to the Cape Cod League that year as a catcher, ended up going as a pitcher. So I was literally learning how to pitch on the Cape which was a wild experience. Got drafted the next year, had some
Did you
arm
like pitching?
injuries. I liked it because I was good at it, and I didn't think I could hit myself. I think it was for me, probably one of those things that I look back on is like I probably made the jump too early. I think I was growing a ton as a hitter, and I was comparing myself to guys who like were already really established hitters in college baseball. And I didn't get. I was on a really good track developmentally because defensively I was so good that I think I might have played a little bit longer had I been a catcher. But I didn't know. I let myself get overthrown my junior year. I was throwing every fifth day because we had more arm injuries, and so I started throwing every fifth day instead of every Friday. And I would literally start every fifth day thinking I could just be Superman. And so that's why I'm super crazy about pitch counts and pitch limits and taking care of guys' arms. We try to bulletproof all our guys here and make sure they, throw enough in between, do their recovery, because that ended up being the kind of the end of my career. Kind of got shortened. I had two surgeries on my nerve in my arm, and I lost feeling in my hand. So it was going, and then it was just over. And so that was a tough transition after baseball, and that's why that's also something that we talk about with our coaches here and our players. When the journey ends, we want them to come back here and get their feet underneath them, so that they don't kind of, I feel that lost feeling when baseball does end. And in my case, it was I went to spring training, I threw in AAA camp, was going to go to high A, and then lost feeling in my hand, and it was over. And so I didn't really have a plan B at that time, and so that's why the mental stuff's so important to me. But yeah, you're just at the beginning of your freshman year.
Hmm.
You got all these experiences that are going to be coming are super exciting. So are you looking forward to it?
I am looking forward to it. I'm excited to see what's to come.
What? How big is your school?
We're 6A because they removed 7A, so we're 6A, so I guess the biggest,
Yeah,
I think.
that's exciting.
Hmm. The baseball team, there's like 65 guys trying out, I think,
Okay.
this year. So pretty
Is that
big.
an is that a usual? Is that about average for the school?
Hmm.
Okay,
On average.
that's awesome.
So was baseball in Oklahoma super competitive when you were growing up?
Um, Good question. So we're in Omaha, and then so we're in Nebraska, but uh, so baseball in Oklahoma was probably competitive, but baseball in Nebraska was we had a very unique team that I played on where we had a sponsor that sponsored the whole team. So like the organization was covered where you just had to pay for your travel. And so that was very unique at the time. And so we had kids from like Iowa to, Lincoln and, Nebraska City. So we drew from a very large area. And so our team was very dominant. I think that was unique at the time. And I think it still kind of is. Where like we traveled because we had to. We would go, like our teams would go to state and we would just clean up the whole state. We'd win state at every level, at every age group. And now there's a lot more parity. There's a lot more balance. And I think part of it is, people want to go somewhere where they're going to play and, they start their own teams and all that stuff. And I think what sometimes gets lost is the value in struggling and competing for a spot. When I made my team at 11U, the best players played. I was not one of the best players at the time. So I was on the team as just like, you're going to get in when you get in. And if you don't like it, get better. I was so excited to be on the team. I didn't even care. I was just like,
Hmm.
I was just a big cheerleader most of the time. I'd get in the outfield a little bit. I'd catch, but I wasn't one of the guys yet, and so I had to earn that time. But then once I did, it was like, well, I'm not giving this back. Once I earned the starting spot my 12-year-old year, it was off and running, and it made me appreciate, appreciate playing. But I never looked at like not playing as like a negative. It was like, well, no, he's better than me right now, so like he should play. And I think that's one of the things that gets lost a little bit with like youth and travel baseball is everybody wants it to be so fair all the time that it becomes unfair when you're not rewarding the kids who are doing the things they need to do and are performing and are getting better. I think you should always give guys opportunities, but I also don't think you should give away the guys opportunities who earn them just for the sake of equal isn't fair is I guess what I'm getting at. So that's how I look at it.
Hmm. So you were playing good baseball and won the Gatorade Player of the Year in high school as a catcher. Is that
Mhm.
right? So
Yes.
were schools lining up with offers after that?
I got a lot of attention. And like I said, it's kind of the Omaha curse. So being from here, I wanted to go, to Texas or USC or Florida or whatever. And I always tell people this story because the Omaha curse is sometimes what guys around here want to like chase the success of a program. I got a letter every 6 days, like a packet from this little engineering school in Tennessee, and they had a new coach, and he had been at Presbyterian. He'd been the coach of the year, or the assistant coach of the year, and he'd been at Clemson before that. So now everybody knows who Tim Corbin is. But at the time, I didn't know who he was, and so he's like just trying to get me on a visit, wants me to go there, and I'm like, they're not very good. They're kind of doormat of the SEC, um, and I didn't really give it the attention and that I should have because I was so blind about like, well, I want to go to a big school. I want to go to a school that's already established, and I ended up going to Richmond because they were in a super regional against Nebraska the year before, and they had the third overall pick in the draft. They had the home run leader. It was a hot school. Like everybody wanted to go there, and I think I kind of jumped at that rather than looking at the bigger picture. So I had a lot of options, but I was very picky in terms of what I was looking for. I wanted like a high academic school. I wanted somewhere that wanted me, that was also good at baseball. And when you're looking at the recruiting process that way, sometimes you don't give certain places a chance. And I think that was kind of the thing. If I could go back and do it differently, I would have been much more receptive when schools reached out and at least found out more about them rather than like, oh yeah, that school's okay. I don't really want to go there. Because now you look at when coaches move and go to different places, like it changes so quickly now. And back then, it was programs were a little bit more established, but at the same time, like you always want to go where you're wanted, and I think that's the number one thing that, for better or worse, I did a really good job of. Was I went to a school that really valued me, and it was a great experience. So
Mhm. So my first ever high school tryouts are a few weeks ago away. So in a lot of ways, I think I'm ready, and in some ways, I'm nervous. So what should players like me be thinking about when trying out for the first time?
um, so plan out what you're going to wear before the tryout, and baseball socks, baseball belt, tuck your shirt in. Is if your shirt's too short to be tucked in, wear a longer shirt, wear sleeves underneath. Even if they're like 3/4 sleeves, just some sort of sleeve, in case it's a little cooler. Where are you guys located?
We're in Georgia, so it's gonna be really
Oh,
chilly.
you guys probably don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
But if you want to wear sleeves underneath,
It's gonna be chilly though.
what's chilly for you guys?
30.
Okay, that is chilly. Okay,
Mhm.
we'll be. When do you guys start?
Tryouts are late January. Late
Okay,
January.
so our tryouts are the last week of February,
Okay.
so we have to go a little bit later.
Mm.
So yeah, you guys will be chilly. So long sleeves. Make sure you're bring water, bring a snack, bring stuff that have all that stuff laid out so you don't have to worry about that stuff. Clean your gear, clean your shoes. Don't wear your 14U hat. I always tell guys that wear a different hat. Um, and so they're like, well, I don't have another hat. I'm like, well, go get one. Like you don't want to wear your 14U hat because you don't necessarily want if your coach potentially has a negative association that you don't know about with an organization, you don't want that to affect you. So we just want them to see us as a player. So dress like a ball player, and it's just the attention to detail. So like before you go, make sure you have all that figured out. Before the week before, kind of get an idea of like, okay, what kind of drills will we probably be doing? Go practice those drills before. Like, don't show up and try to cram for the test. That's a terrible way to practice for it. You're going to at most get, maybe a couple rounds of BP, but everything else will be like drill work. And so practicing your footwork, making sure your swing is repeatable, making sure you're not over swinging and trying to lift the ball too much. Hit the ball to all fields, and then just recognize that your excitement just means you're ready, and like any anxiety you feel is just means you're ready to go, and that's a good thing. um, the 2 weeks before, I would honestly, one thing we have our guys do is make sure you're on your feet, like moving around from like multiple hours a day. Otherwise you'll hit a wall at like the second or third day of tryouts, because you'll get fatigued. Your like legs will kind of start to get fatigued. You'll kind of lose that bounce. So whether it's like pick up basketball or just going to run or just jumping rope, doing those things and then stopping and then doing them again to like kind of simulate what you're going to experience in the tryouts where you're on your feet for extended periods of time.
Mhm. Thank you for that.
No
So
problem.
what to wear? I think I've got an idea. I have a shirt of my high school, so would that be good to wear?
Hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll wear that.
Yeah. With sleeves under, yeah, sleeves underneath, something to keep you warm.
Mm,
You can always, can always de-layer, but you don't want to have to like, you don't want to be out there and be freezing.
mm. So would you have done anything differently for your high school tryout?
For my high school tryout, no, I came from like our program that I grew up playing in, 11U through 14U was very, hat forward, wear your uniform the right way, clean your stuff. And so that was just one thing that I felt like when I showed up at tryouts, it was something I didn't have to worry about. And so the coach, any coach who looked at me would be like, okay, he looks like a baseball player. Now they watch me play versus, maybe you come in and look like a slob and then, you know, then you have to convince them you're a baseball player. So that's something I talk to guys about all the time with tryouts, whether it's high school, travel ball, even in college, is the things that they're going to pay attention to are like how you play catch. So you can take the list of guys trying out. If they look like they know how to play catch, if they move their feet, if they're hustling everywhere, then it's like, okay, so this is a guy I'm looking at. If they just kind of lazy or if they're kind of they use bad mechanics when they're throwing or just really sloppy mechanics, um, that's that's a flag that like sometimes you don't want to deal with, but at least it puts you not in the right column of like yes versus no. Because it's easier to go through a list of 100 guys and say, okay, these guys all can do this, or you go through the list and say, okay, well, these guys don't look like they can do this, and now they have to convince me otherwise, and so you don't want to be fighting against the eight ball. So little things like pick. I've heard high school coaches say it came down to two guys, and one guy hustled everywhere, picked up the cage, was super positive with everybody, had good body language, and the other guy wasn't. And he might have been a little bit better, but this guy was not going to be a headache. And that guy made, the last spot on the team as a freshman. And then, a couple years later makes varsity where that could have been completely different if they just went off of pure like, baseball ability all the time. And so when it comes down to the last couple guys on the team, or you're the next couple guys to make the next team. So like whether it's freshman, JV, or whatever. A lot of times it's the little things you do that can get you over the hump and onto that next team too. So bringing value is always the number one thing. And as a baseball player, if you're do what you do well and then be versatile, but don't try to be like Mr. Versatility. I can do everything pretty good, but I don't do anything great. Like do what you do really well. And then, if the coach is like, hey, can you play another position? Can you do this? Sure, I'll give it a shot,
Mm-hmm.
and be open to those things. So, because when you get into high school, you're dealing with for the first time, you're trying to compete for spots. Sometimes the guys 1, 2, 3 years older, and it's it can be a physical jump that is unfair because that physicality and growth maturity wise with your body hasn't happened yet. And at least it's not going to happen as much as it will by 4 years from now. You versus you in 3, 4 years is completely different too. And so it's just the path of development that guys run into. So when you're going into those situations, give them no reason to go, I don't really like that guy,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to have a pretty good shot.
So I'm a freshman.
Thank them when you get done after every practice, after
Yes,
every day of tryouts.
I
Thank
do.
each coach.
We do these like 4-on-1s,
Mm-hmm.
like after school every day, and every single time we finish, I'm like, "Thank you, coach." And
You
I'm just
always remember the guys who do it. You don't remember the guys who don't. So
mhm. So I'm a freshman, but we don't have a freshman team. So do you think that helps or hurts my development?
how many teams do you guys have?
We have a JV and varsity.
So just two teams.
Hmm.
Okay. So I think it puts you in a situation where being valuable at your position, or what position do you play?
I play a lot of positions, like most of them. I can play everything except catcher.
Okay.
I don't play catcher, so I can play all the
So
infield.
hold on. Let me ask that question again. What position do you play?
Wherever you need me, coach.
Good answer, but okay. But what position? What's your best position?
I would say outfield.
Okay, so I play center field. That's what
Hmm.
you said. I
Hmm.
play center field, but I can play infield too if you need me. It's simplify it. You don't want to go in there and have too many options.
Hmm.
If I give you an option of 8 different drinks, sodas to drink or whatever, Gatorades or whatever, or if I give you two, it's going to be easier to pick from the two than the big thing. And so you don't want to say like, well, I play left field. Never say
No.
that. You say I play center field, but I'll play wherever you want me to. But that's good. The versatility is good. Yeah, but when they ask you what position you play, tell them I play this. I play center field. Like keep it simple. Center field, short, catch, and you can kind of move from there. Or if you pitch or you play, first base. Um, but those are because first base is a position you can move other guys to as needed. The corner outfielders, the guys get moved to those. You want to stay up the middle as much as possible. So
Hmm.
center field, short, catcher, pitcher.
Hmm.
Keep it simple.
We also have like a flex player too, which is like we play both JV and varsity.
Sure.
Uh, mhm. So, do you think it would help or hurt my development?
To what? By having just two teams?
Hmm. Not a
Depends.
freshman team. What did you say?
It depends. It
Okay.
depends on um, what you do when it depends on what you do with your role. So I don't believe there's a bad role. I think the main goal for you is make a team, and then whatever your role is, do the best of your ability. Do it to the best of your ability, and then when you get opportunities, be ready for them. So whether you get a chance to start right away, or you get a chance, or you're coming off the bench in the beginning, they're each one of them. If you're not starting right away, for example, taking in what's happening in the game, watching your position, figuring out like what they're doing well, um, and then treating each practice like a game. Training and practicing before games, in between games, after games, like you're the starter, like you're the starter trying to get the next guy's spot. And so that's how you always want to work at it. You don't want to wait till you get to the next stage to work. Don't wait till you're a D1 player to work like a D1 player. Train like it now. Do the things you need to do. And so that'd be my best piece of advice. I think it's a good situation because it does keep it simple. What happens sometimes with freshman teams and like JV2 and JV1 and all this stuff is there becomes a log jam at the top, and then it kind of gets guys a false sense of security. It's like, oh, I'm on the freshman team, not realizing that there's freshmen on the JV2 team and the JV1 team, and I'm going to be competing with those guys all the way up. So like it can sometimes create more problems than it solves.
Hmm. So, your videos are very fun, but you have a lot of great things to share with players like me. So, how did they start, and did the videos come naturally for you?
The videos started once we figured out how to shoot them and the kind of content we wanted to shoot. It got a lot more fun. I was new to social media in terms of like being on camera and figuring out how my character, my avatar of Swag and Shades was being received. And so, at first you're just kind of like awkward and you don't know what to do. And so we actually put the sunglasses on one day. My assistant, Sid, had me put them on, and our following jumped. And so we were like, well, I guess we're keeping the sunglasses on. So, but it became this character of like the coach you had when you were younger, who you listened to and you trusted. And you don't really remember his name, but he always said good stuff. And that was kind of who we realized that Swag and Shades was. And so we let that character deliver our message. And we were able to do a lot of different things with it. We could, do the skits, we can do funny stuff, we can do more serious stuff, and it really opened it up for us. And so when we came in to shoot videos from that point on, it was like we got to simplify this, man. We got to like, what are we trying to say, and not try to sound like the smartest guy in the room, not try to throw shots at people and things like that. Like we were just like, hey, how do we get our message and our players' experiences and the things that we talk about every day in here to more people? And we realized that was just, it kind of just started growing, and it was really well received. And we realized that people valued it, and so we just kind of doubled down and started doing more and more content. And now we're getting into the long form content on YouTube, and we're getting into our TikTok stuff's growing. But we really kind of focused on like what is working on Instagram and on social media in general, and how we can grow that. Because I'm not funny. Like I'm not going to be the really funny guy. Like I can't come up with stuff like that. And so I don't try to be. I think that's the one thing we do a pretty good job of is like it's very genuine. We you learn things when you're on camera. Like sometimes you have to be a little bit more excited. And you feel a little goofy at first doing it that way, but then when you see how it is on camera, it looks like normal. But if you try to like play it cool or kind of be like nonchalant, it comes off as just really flat. And so my assistant Sid's been huge with all that stuff. Just like, hey, I need more energy. Just kind of coaching me a little bit through it in the beginning. And then we just try to have fun with it. So we get done with each video when we're shooting it, and it's like it's either a love it or and then we shoot it again. So it's got to be a love it, or we don't do it. It's not going to make it to see the light of day, because if it's not to the point, connecting with people and engaging, what are we doing here? So we want to make it fun for everybody.
So when you started Chips, did you think you'd be doing online content and coaching?
No,
Mm.
no, not at all. We made 243 videos, like cut up with like players training, and we spent hours on these things. And we were sitting there in March with like less than 5,000 followers, and we were like, we made 243 videos, and like we are not getting anywhere. And so we just stopped trying so hard to make videos that we thought were cool, and we just kind of started being more authentic, and it took off. And so it was something we knew could be a part of our business as we got going. But it wasn't, we didn't see it going like this. We didn't see it getting this big this fast.
Mm.
It's we work with a lot of companies now, and it's about a third, if not half of what we do. We had right before this, I had two meetings with different companies, and like I'm just doing their social media marketing, just doing their, talking about content strategy. And that's been super fun because it allows us to, we get cool stuff for the players. We can do giveaways at the facility. We can do giveaways on social media. And that's been the best part. Like somebody dressed up like me for Halloween this year, like from New Jersey. Like that was insane.
Cool.
Um, Somebody joked with me, like, what's on your, how far do you want to take this? And I jokingly said, I want somebody to dress up like me for Halloween. And then they did it. And I was like, we need a new goal. So
Mm.
it's been really fun though. Like you get to meet so many people, and through the game and through different opportunities that kind of come up from this. I've been blown away by the impact of social media on not just our facility, but like just the things that we've been able to do for companies that are getting started, and whether it's batting gloves or sunglasses or whatever they're making, different weightlifting equipment. It's really cool to see the impact, and we're helping those guys too, and that's really cool. I think there's enough of. I've always thought there's enough of this to go around. There's enough attention to go around, and I think the big thing is consistency, and consistency with your message and what you're trying to do, and like anything else, is don't get greedy. As long as you don't get greedy, good things happen.
Mm. Very cool. So when you put on the sunglasses, for that one video, is that how Swag and Shades was created?
That was so pretty much that was I created the Swag and Shades Twitter handle like 5 years before that, just because I wanted a social media feed that was just baseball. And it was back when Twitter was just like you throw comments and ideas out. And I started doing that. And I kind of got this little following. I had like 25,000 followers or something. And it was really cool to like see the impact I could have on some guys, and help guys with recruiting advice or things like that. Just like trying to give some perspective to people that I didn't feel like a lot of people were saying, because people kind of want to protect kids a lot of times. And I've worked with kids forever, and it's like the kids can handle it. The parent can't handle it all the time. Like, it's not happening fast enough, or the way they wanted it to, or their kid has to go through some hardship. And it's like, no, the kid's going to be fine with that. Like, it's worth it to them, but it's just not happening at the rate you want. And so we just kind of try to be like, we call it the common sense bear, the bear of common sense that says,
Mm.
hey, maybe we should just chill out a little bit. And so we brought that Swag and Shades character into this, not thinking it would like, connect or make a difference. And it just clicked with people, and a lot of people it doesn't click with. They think it looks, you know,
Goofy.
foolish and whatever. And I get it though. That's the thing. Like people don't realize, like, I think I look foolish too. I'm wearing sunglasses inside half the time we're filming at night. I can't see a thing most of the time. but it makes it less like less intimidating, I think, in a way where it's like it can be that coach you had before, or it can be whoever, and so it makes it seems to connect with people, and so we just kept it and just said, hey, we're gonna get a lot of comments about wearing sunglasses inside. That's fine.
Mm.
Like the message is still the same, and it's what connects with people. So
Mm. How different is the persona Swag and Shades from Coach Hale?
that's actually funny. So our players will come in all the time. We'll get like a new member every once in a while, and or some of our college guys will come in who I didn't coach when they were in high school, and they'll come train here, and they're like, "You're not like I thought you would be." And I was like, "Yeah, that's probably a good thing." Like we always joke, like, I'm smarter than I look. But what I want the players to do is to be confident in themselves, and I think I know I give off sometimes kind of like when I have my sunglasses on, like I'm a little bit bigger guy, like, I'm kind of intimidating to adults, but I've never been intimidating to kids. And so that is kind of like the difference. Like the players I connect with really well, the kids I connect with. I think some parents, it kind of keeps it bay a little bit, which is perfect. Cause I want to, I'm focused on helping the players, not necessarily the parents all the time, but the parents who ask questions, they get to know me, and I'm what you see is what you get. I'm I don't have an ego in this whole thing, and that's why we named it Chips, because it didn't need to be my name on the door. I wanted to build this, like a Disneyland where it's like an experience, and you can't do that. Like if Mickey's gone, every other character is still there,
Mm.
and you still have a great time. It doesn't matter. The culture at Disneyland is still the same, even if like you don't see Mickey that day or whatever. And so it didn't have to be about me, and I never want it to be. And it's always got to be about the players and doing the right thing for them. And so it's a little different. The stuff I tell people, like the stuff we share with like the stories and examples, are things that we believe in. So those parts are very authentic. Um, but like kind of how we deliver it and all that stuff, like I don't know. It's at the end of the day, it's kind of nice to when we get off camera or whatever to just be kind of just disappear a little bit and just there's I'm more noticeable now. I've realized I'll go to airports and tournaments. I still coach. Uh, that has changed a lot. So I'm getting used to that a little bit, but it's just how the only thing I think about is how does the player want me to receive their attention, and like they're excited to see me. So like I don't want to be like get away or whatever.
Mm.
And so being receptive to that, I think, is a big part of the whole avatar. And you know, it's still the same person at the end of the day. It's just me wearing sunglasses, but
Mm.
I think there's a responsibility with it too.
Have you ever showed up to work one day as Swag and Shades?
So the funny thing is, I wear what I wear in the videos to work every day. That's
Oh,
how
you
I
do?
dress. Yeah, I kind of dress boring. So I try pretty much wear black on black most days. My shoes are pretty much the same. I don't wear sunglasses inside. The players here always laugh about that. They're like, "Oh, people probably think you wear sunglasses inside all day." I'm like, I don't know. But it's our guys know me, and I'm really protective of our guys and our culture, and taking care of the players, and so I'm very protective by nature. So that's kind of how I connect with players. I speak fluent kid, this kind of thing I always say too. Um, and then that's just how I've always been. I think be the person you needed when you were younger was always something that resonated with me. And so no, I guess I kind of am the character every day, because the sunglasses are the sunglasses I wear. The outfit is the outfit I wear. I don't really do anything differently. I'm kind of boring in that way. So
So, what do you get out of coaching or creating content for the next generation of ball players?
ooh, that's a great question. Coaching teams and tournaments. I love the connection with the players. I love watching them grow and develop. It feeds that part of me that still needs to be competitive. I don't go play in leagues or do anything like that. I work out on my own, and then I go coach because I like the competitiveness. I need that. I think it's like like sharks, got to keep hunting. When you put them in captivity, great white sharks start to die. So like, I think about that. Like, that's something I'll always do. I'll always at least coach in some capacity, at least a little bit during the year, and because I need that competition. Um, but in terms of making content, we wanted to build an audience for our players if they were getting, if it was time for them to start getting recruited. We wanted to be able to put videos out and people to see them. And so we were putting videos out before, and we were like, there's nobody following us. Like there's no eyes on this. And so we needed to build our following. And so we kind of started to play the game of like, how do we do that? And Instagram, once we figured it out a little bit, um, we know the line of like viral content, and we knew we didn't want to try to jump into that too much, but we do try to mix in entertaining stuff and to keep it, from getting too boring. Because if it's boring to us, it's gonna be boring for the audience, right? So we try to keep it fun that way, but we wanted when we put out a video of a player for them to actually be people who see it. And so that was why we started doing it. And now we work with a bunch of different companies. So we're able to help promote those and help, do fun stuff for players. Because at the end of the day, like it's super fun giving stuff away. And that's one of the beauties of what we've been able to build is, we did the 12 days of Chipsmas and we gave away all this stuff. It was so cool. And it helps, you know, players think it's cool because like they go to the place that has the videos. But then it helps us focus on the training too. And so that's at the end of the day, always going to be the number one thing is like in the spring, we actually go out and film our players during their high school games. Like we'll get clips of them. So they have recruiting stuff to send to coaches. We help them with the recruiting stuff. We help them with their diet. We're kind of full service in that way. So um, it the social media stuff opens up our world to where we can do a lot more, and it makes it fun because otherwise you're just kind of sitting at a facility until school gets out and waiting for kids to come. And we were like, that's not how we're built. We're built to do stuff. So what do we do? And once we kind of got into the social media stuff, and it's nerve wracking at first. I'll admit, like I didn't being on camera takes a while to get used to,
Hmm.
but once you do, it goes pretty well, and it's pretty fun. I think most people talk themselves out of it.
Yeah, being on camera when I first started the podcast, I mean it was really hard. I wasn't on camera, it was just my voice. And we
Mm-hmm.
gradually got to the YouTube and the Zoom. And it
People
was
like to put a name to the face.
yeah. So before we hit some wrap-up questions, I want you to go back for a second. I'm 15 and in ninth grade. So if you could go back in
Okay.
time right now, what's something you would tell your 15-year-old self? It
Oh,
could
that's a
it,
good
it could
question.
be about anything, not just baseball.
15-year-old me, gosh, go to bed sooner. I don't stay up too late. Um, I would say don't take yourself too seriously. Take what you do seriously because and really get a grasp on controlling what you can control and only worrying about that. I think I would like build up things in my head. And I did a video on that where my senior year, after my junior year, Gatorade Player of the Year, senior year, I was like a ball of stress. And it took a while to like for it to dawn on me that I was focusing on the things I couldn't control. And it got me so outside of I didn't even know what I was trying to do in terms of baseball. And so once I kind of got over that, I never felt that way again. And it was so much fun. Like college was so fun. Like being on the field, like I never worried about my stats. I never worried about like my batting average or anything. I just played. And it was because my senior year I was this little ball of stress all the way up to like our district tournament. And then districts and state went really well because I finally got over it and just had to realize that the pitcher, I was so focused on what I was doing at the plate, if that makes sense, that like I could have hit 3 home runs and I would have been pissed that I didn't hit a fourth home run on if I went 3 for 4. Like and I wasn't a home run hitter either. So that was part of the problem too. Was like I had this really skewed view of what I was trying to do. And once I just kind of relaxed and just played, I realized like that's good enough. And that has to be okay. And so it's like if the problem was ever like the problem for me was never like not trying hard enough, but in a way I kind of made it that way where like I just need to try harder. It's like drive myself crazy. Um, and then I played a lot more free and had a lot more fun. And I think I just kind of took myself a little too seriously when I was younger. But yeah, that's what I would say. I'd say don't take yourself too seriously. Take what you're doing seriously and let that be enough.
Thank you for that, Coach. Hopefully, anyone listening gets something out of that answer. Now we're moving to the last part of the interview, the not so rapid fire questions, where you can answer with as
Okay.
much or as little info as you want. So you ready?
Ready.
So, best thing about Richmond,
The dining hall.
corn or
Best food ever.
best food
Good.
ever? Corn or barbecue chicken?
Barbecue chicken.
When you were a kid, was there a video game that you were obsessed with?
College football.
College football? Which one?
Mhm. NCAA, all of them. NCAA
All of
college
them?
football, like that whole up until 2014 when it stopped. I got the new one the day it came out.
The 25?
Yeah, I played it for like 12 hours.
Oh,
It was
that's
great.
awesome. What's more overrated, going to a showcase or your exit velo?
Oh, I'll say go into a showcase because it depends on the showcase.
Hmm.
Exit velo, if you it can be overrated though too. Both can be. I'll say go into a showcase.
So can you cook?
Yes.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
Oh, I'm boring, man. I like chicken and rice is
Like
like my go-to.
spaghetti and
But
meatballs?
I can make a really good grilled pizza,
Okay.
like from scratch, and so I can do that. I do really cool desserts. Fun fact, like those really fancy desserts where you get like the jar and you put the ice cream in and you put all the toppings and stuff on. I like to do those around the holidays. And it's kind of my
Mhm.
like little hobby thing to do. I like doing stuff like that, stuff that's unexpected.
Can you do a spaghetti and meatballs?
Ooh, I do spaghetti and chicken. I've never tried to make my own meatballs. I should try that.
My dad, he does his meatballs like once every 3 months, and he's proud of it.
Really?
That one day, he's like,
Hey, that's a big accomplishment. I give him credit where credit's due. Yeah, but I'm boring though. I could live on like peanut butter and jelly
hmm.
if I had the metabolism for it. But yeah, chicken and rice most days for me.
DC or Marvel?
Dude, I'm so out of that world. What's Thor in?
That's Marvel.
Marvel then.
Marvel. You like Thor? You
Mhm.
like
I
Hemsworth?
like Thor. Yeah. Well, my kid loves Thor, and so that got me into Thor.
Mhm.
I like the character.
That's cool. And last one, but I want to ask it differently than I usually do. What is your favorite baseball movie all time, and what can be learned from it?
Bull Durham and the don't think it only hurts the ball club. I
Okay.
think guys get too into their own heads, and they try to like outthink the process that just takes time. And I think that was what Crash Davis did a really good job of explaining to the nuke the whole time was like, it's just, hey, like these are you got to simplify stuff. And your dad's the dad being at the games and like him getting all out of whack and then, not messing with a winning streak. And there's just so many good lessons in those movies. But the Bull Durham one, or For the Love of the Game was another really good one that I loved. And
With
I got the
Kevin
poster right
Costner.
my
With
I got
Kevin.
the poster right above you here.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's yeah, that's one of my favorites too.
Mm. Well, Coach Alex Hale, this was awesome. Thank you for doing this. Did you have fun?
I had a blast, dude. You were an awesome host. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add or ask me?
What's next for you? What's next for the podcast?
For the podcast, really, we're trying to get to interview 100, 100th
Okay.
episode. We're trying to
How
get
far are you away?
what is that? Eight episodes away. We're
Okay.
trying to get like a huge guest.
That's
And
awesome.
mhm. So yeah, that's for the podcast and for just baseball in general, high school tryouts and schoolwork. Gotta focus on schoolwork. Yeah.
Of course.
Mhm.
It opens doors. It opens doors. That's I will say that when I was getting recruited, I didn't realize how much having good grades and like good ACT, SAT scores opened a lot of doors for me. So
Mhm.
gives you options, which is nice.
Well, thank you again for your time. You guys can follow Coach Hale on Instagram at Chips Performance, and you can follow me at Baseball Podcaster Fun on YouTube, Spotify, and Instagram. Please check back soon for an all-new guest. Until then, that was Coach Alex Hale. I'm Grayson Knight, and this was Baseball Podcasts Are Fun. Don't forget to swing for the fences. See ya.